Well, since season 11 started, Owen has kicked off this one with a banger, and absolutely reasonably so. Since switching to PC, welcome along tonight for the action, round number 5 in Singapore. They always say the streets never forget. Well, they never forgot about this race last season, which was round number 8, a chaotic one at that. We had an Alpine on podium, a McLaren pole. We had Groggers winning for Ferrari, trying to chunk down the championship lead. The championship leader of Hunted crashing out of the race. Grandpa spun at one point. And now, maybe more chaos to add into tonight. Last week, it was an Alfa Romeo on podium, and a Red Bull driver named Cintrix making his debut. A Mercedes driver of Owen winning, holding off the Red Bull teammate of Cintrix's Bonkers 5. Now, with round number 5 of the season being underway tonight, we've still got a little bit to go to halfway, whereas we were closer last season. So lots to look forward to in tonight's race. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles. Glad to have you joining us. I'm the streamer. And alongside me tonight, I have a special guest joining us. He didn't race this race last season, but he raced Tier 2 last season. He's a vice champion, second place, runner-up in Tier 2 before, back in Season 8, a two-time winner, and a pole sitter of this race in the Season 8 running. Welcome along, Florian. Glad to have you. Make sure you include your audio. I think you have not included your audio. Then you can repeat that. I'm glad to have you. Glad to have you. Try unincluding it then re-including it. I wanna see if that works because I don't think it worked that time. I'll check with you one more. Should work after this time. Just uninclude it then include it. Yes. 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 Should show. You able to include audio. Just double check. All right. I will wait. All right. Should work for you. You are through the Xbox party, so. I could have tested it out before, but I didn't, so it's on me a little bit too, I guess you could say. I'm trying to see through the stream if they can hear you. Not picking anything up. I don't know why. Alright.
Yeah, right. Now it works.
There we go. Okay, so say what you were saying.
Yeah, hello everyone, and it's just a pleasure to commentating alongside you again.
Absolutely. And compared to last season, you started off in the Ferrari Academy, then moved to the Mercedes Academy, and now you're in Red Bull Academy. And now that you are racing in Tier 1, you're in Red Bull for this weekend. Since Reece Dainty's not racing, a little bit of a change during the transfer window. We've got 23 hours left of that. What are you expecting this season in AlphaTauri full-time and in some starts for Red Bull when Cookie or Reece will miss?
Yes, of course, in the AlphaTauri we'll try to get some good results. Top 12s, I think, is my objective for every race, and if I have some races in the Red Bull, of course, maybe podiums and top 5s.
Yeah, it's a longer season, so we'll see, of course, if those can be achieved. As for your team, I mean, you don't have a high-up role like Cookie or Cryptic do, but as far as you've gathered things within the first 4 or so rounds, what do you think the academy / the team in general, Red Bull and AlphaTauri, are expecting of their drivers in all tiers?
First of all, they don't want us to make stupid things like make very frequent incidents on track and something like that. They want just to that we achieve our objectives, and yeah, just give our best, and they just want that. They don't put pressure on you. It's a very good academy with two very good team principals, and yeah, it's just very friendly.
Absolutely, that's very good to hear. So, full qualifying tonight with a 50% race on board. Should be one of the longer ones of the season. Not as long as it used to be, though, with track changes. We ran this
Hmm.
race with track changes last season. So the drivers are familiar with this new layout, but it still will catch some people out. It still will allow maybe more overtaking, maybe less mind games. Who knows? Obviously, a lot on our hands. We'll go over the standings during some point in Q1 and Q2, or at latest Q3 if we have a moment. Either way, I want to go over some headlines for tonight. So Term is returning again for the second time. He returned in Canada for Alpine, and he's racing again tonight after he was supposed to race last week but didn't. Let me just turn down the game audio just a little bit. Um, with that said, we've also got Groggers, who has now went from a reserve to then going to Mercedes slash Aston, and now Ferrari. Um, so he's back where he once was. Don't think he's racing tonight. I don't see him, so we should be clear of him tonight. He's won this race last season, so that will be a big talking point at one point or another. Benz, the new driver at Williams, he is full time. Those guys talking about maybe needing some more for Williams Heritage. Well, that will help them out a little bit with scoring some more points. Leon Miner is now a reserve, with that being said. Leighton had his contract terminated, then had it back once again. He is in AlphaTauri tonight, and with that said, he's going to have to serve a qualifying ban due to the lineup being a little bit late. The transfer window is still open for another 23 hours. Lennon is now in Alfa Romeo, learning wheel, I believe. Gecko, now promoted to Ferrari. Zatsy's in the wall. Whoa, that was unexpected. We'll get to the session in just a moment. I just want to continue explaining that we have Invade going from the Merc Academy to a reserve. Alpine loan for tonight. Egg has now been signed as a Tier 2 Alpine reserve. Alex Baer goes from his team to the Mercedes Academy, and now Aston Tier 2 contract is all his, and that's why he's teaming up with Wavy tonight. Minions of reserve, Knights in Ferrari for tonight since that little change has happened. So a lot on our hands. Florian, in just a moment, we're going to be getting our first lap started. I want you to take out, I want you to take over this track with your knowledge and tell us, with a hot lap around here, Centrix going around here on mediums, what to expect, and kind of give us a little bit of detail starting now.
Okay, so this track is of course very tricky because it has a lot of bumps, as we saw in real life and in the game. It's very much to feel, and yeah, it's you just need to have a good line around this track because every part of all corners is very important, especially the exit of the corners and the currents of it. Not much the entrance, you need to sacrifice the entrance on these corners around this track. Not all corners, but the most of it. And yeah, it's a very tricky track, where, of course, where the most of the hard corners are in the middle sector. And yeah, I just wish the drivers good luck for the quali because it will be very hard as a driver's perspective.
So under the bridge he goes, about to get to Sector 3, and to the reprofiled section, which we'll see a lot of drivers not really caught out too much, but more so trying to take different lines and the way they approach this upcoming section, which I'll give it to you, Florian. What is this section like for a driver now that it's been changed?
It's of course very strange because on the corner right now, where before you went in very slowly, it's very strange because everything is wide open and it's not very slow. So on the first laps I needed to adapt a little bit, but then it's very easy to. It's much easier than before.
We've got drivers crossing the line. We'll get to them and then get to the next outlap, which will be from Valk. We've got a Haas coming through the ending bit of the sector. That's Minions. Last week he made his return and didn't even get to qualify. Was at the back of the grid on the start, gained some places, had to pit again after damage, and a lot of drivers were worthy of a driver of the day contention. He was one of them. He finished up in the top 5, top 6 area. Minions comes across the line second for Haas. Obviously, Centrix was on the mediums, so not too representative. The Alpine comes across the line next of Invade, wanting to prove something. He's going to be 4th, slowest of them all so far. The Alfa Romeo is next of J&T. He'll cross the line. Then we get to our next lap of Valk. J&T 3rd. Valk will be next. And we'll go on board with her and watch her lap. Take us away with
coming
Florian.
to the line. Yeah. So for first corner break just before the 50-meter line, sacrifice the first corner to go very fast through the second and brake for the third. Very tricky on the third to get a nice exit to this corner where it's very hard because you don't know when to turn in and when to start pressing that throttle to the straight. Then here brake just after the just before the 50-meter board, get a nice exit. Don't run over that exit curve because it may just slow it down a little bit. Then the hairpin, very tricky corner because you need a very nice exit to the next corner. And here is the very tricky part before this bridge and under the bridge. Very fast left-hander, and then the right-hander is very tricky because that inside curb is very bumpy and it just lets you spin. Then the left hairpin, very tricky again because of that wall. You can't see exactly the apex and when to brake. Then here again, it's probably the same as turn 4. Then you don't exactly know where to brake and it's very tricky. Then here, as I said before, it's very wide open and you need to adapt very much because of the new section, but it's very easy. And yeah, here almost full throttle and finish the lap.
9th one to cross the line. It's going to be 7th of them all. There's one more in the background. I believe that's an AlphaTauri starting a lap. We'll go on board with them. That is Blue Goggy, and I'll take this one. Blue Goggy going through turn 3 now. A little tricky this area just to nail it. I mean, it's so different from when you're practicing time trial and getting used to it, and then you have to actually hook it up. Kippu's retired from the session. That may be a crash, but I don't think it is. With that being said now, got Goggy on the run to sector 2. Alright, so that answers that. Goggy clipping the inside curb just a little bit. Now you want to kind of go to the right here, not too close to the wall. You have a little bit of space with that white line. Inside curb touches that a little bit. It's not been the cleanest from Goggy, but with him, at least he's kept it off the walls and at least got a good benchmark. If he wants to get through into Q2, he's going to have to go out again. This is exactly how close you can get to the walls around here. It is absolutely a tricky one for these drivers. And I've got word from Minions in the chat, by the way, for those wondering. No rain in the race or qualifying, so good to hear that. Now Goggy comes to the sector split with a 105.6. And as he comes through this area, you don't want to go too far over the white line or you can invalidate. That's been newer on some of these games where you can exceed track limits in that area where you couldn't before. And now down to here, we saw some overtakes in the Tier 1 race, saw some in the Tier 2 race, and F2 the last time they were here. Now the final 2 corners he comes across now. He's got to find something in this area to at least not have to go back out and improve too much. He's going to be 6th fastest. So although it looked a little shabby from Goggy, it didn't look as bad as some others who've set some time so far as well.
Yeah, he made a big mistake on the corner he's going through right now. Very wide there, and I think without that mistake, he's just... I mean, he would be, for me, ahead of J&T. Because that was really a big mistake.
Well, right now, he would be 16th if everyone did a lap. But with those retired, it'd be 14th. And here's a McLaren giving a Williams 2 different academies, by the way, some slipstream. But It's costed Zatsy into the next sector. A little bit of a mishap there from him. But looks like he's flying so far in this lap. Florian, I'm going to have to go for a pit stop myself here during Q1 quickly for a minute. How about you take it away with Zatsy, the one we're watching on a lap now?
Yeah, so again, going through this very tricky section, and yeah, he's done that corner really great. Just about to touch the curb there, and the hairpin very good done, because you need to always think these are realistic performance, so it's not that easy to go with to drive with a Williams around this track. And here through the new part, braking just before the 50-meter board and clipping a little bit the curb there and mounting the other one to get a great exit, and here just almost full throttle. Not all, because then you would do a stroll and he gets right ahead of Blue Gagi and behind J&T.
So I'm going to take it that Zatsy was able to improve in the last half the lap, though, with him being that close to J&T now.
Yeah, he did a very good middle and last sector for what I saw in the middle.
All right, we've got Wavy Knife, who has transitioned to Aston Martin as of last week, and that transition has worked out quite well. P6 for him. How about HSR Gecko? Proving he's fast once again, top of the board. Who is next to start a lap? We got to go on board with who is the closest to the line. We've got two guys crossing the line, and it's going to be trouble here toward turn one. Mythic and couple of Bens here. Or Koopa Benz. Kalpa Benz. We'll just call him Benz. Benz is going to be the one continuing because Mythic had to back off right there. And by the way, maybe not the smartest for Mythic to back off because Benz is just invalidated. So it has actually costed both of them. AMS Turnboy crossed the line, set a lap. Trying to figure out who's next to start a lap now that both of them backed off. Alex is next to cross the line at least.
Yep.
So we'll go on with him. Then it's Knights. 6.5 minutes remaining. Alex Bear. First time for Aston Martin, third fastest.
Very
so
good lap.
This is looking very similar to you last season, Florian.
Yep.
As of his first lap only, though. So we'll see. Valk. I think she's next. Yes, we'll go on board with her. So, a return to Mercedes as well, since we were talking about Wavy. It really paid off for her last week. A crash in qualifying set her farther back than she should have been. Didn't trouble down the order like maybe some expected, at least on that start, considering how that start was. Everyone had to get single file. It was actually a really good start and very clean. And like I said, she didn't trouble down the order. But what she did do is she ended up gaining places and staying in this race in contention quite a bit. It was a P5 finish, I believe, last week at the end of it for her. And kudos to Valk. If she can just pull off these good finishes and have the racecraft she did in Formula Endurance, then it works perfect for her. But now she comes through the section where George Russell bend it in real life, and you got to be careful of that wall on that right side. I think some people could be caught out by it, especially considering you're following other cars in front of you in a train. This hairpin gets a little tricky, and you can take a variety of lines, especially when you're following others. And now the final DRS zone here, which doesn't see a whole lot of overtaking, but it does kind of open things up. 5/10 of an improvement right now through the second sector. Tadpole believes he's safe, and everyone else in front of him should be two, with two guys out of the session. So now Val comes through the final couple of corners. Florian, she's got to find a little bit more if she wants to be safe right now to retire like Tadpole has.
Yeah, on the Mercedes, she should be aiming on a time on a high 29, but of course it's very hard considering she's on a Mercedes, which is not the fastest car, and on controller this track is very hard. It's not a controller track because some tracks are more wheel track and others are more controller track, but this one is more wheel track from personal experience, so it will be hard from her, but I think this might be safe for her.
Speaking of safe, I think Knight's second place, making it a Ferrari 1-2. It should be safely through. Kudos to him right there. I think the last time we saw Ferrari 1-2 that I can recall was last season at some point. I have to look back just to be 100%. I know we had it. I think it was Mexico. Lennon and Grogger's the two who were 1-2 for Ferrari. And then I want to say before that, We'd have to go all the way back to, I believe, Vegas. And then before that, the race in Japan where you and your teammate were 1-2 of Instincts. So, interestingly enough, another Ferrari 1-2, and we could be seeing it in the race tonight. Next across the line to start a lap looks to be Hunted LAX. And I want to speak about him because it's not been the best of starts of the season. Champion of Season 10 in a McLaren. The car one of his rivals was racing against him in. It's really not been pretty. I mean, he's had a pole position. Maybe his only highlight. We're about to have another highlight in the wall in a moment if he didn't keep it going in a straight direction. Not only that, but he's just not really clicked things together in a race. I mean, I look at his results, Hunted, and I don't see him up there like last season. If you look at his results, I mean, best finish of P5 this season. Not even been anywhere toward the podium, and another struggle to him because he's just invalidated right there. Well.
Yeah, it's just from last season he was very secure because in the last races we always do a VC and for the race, and he was just so secure. I don't know about this season, but it seems like he doesn't trust the car very well. He doesn't feel very confident in it, even if I look on his POVs, and it's just not the form of a champion. Oh, well, whoa, very close to the wall there. No, as I said, he's not confident at all. I think his driving style is not good for this car.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a deserving champion. No one can question that for sure, but I think now that he's in a new car, it's definitely a lot different than that Red Bull, and he's going to have to take a little bit to get used to it in the race at least. He's got used to it in qualifying, as we've seen. You know, 7 poles last season, 1 this season, 8 of the last 15 races, so he can find some form. He's safely through, but he's not anywhere near the top of the boards, and especially, that being said, I mean, it's only Q1. I don't expect him to be anywhere near there. And top 9, believe they're safe, I'd agree. Here comes Benz behind that, a teammate giving some help. Is Zatsi up in front of that? Slipstream there. This is a good section to do it, especially therefore you don't have that overspeed like Zatsi had earlier. Now Benz in his first ever lap, the valid one in the league. Here he comes. Second Williams driver. Can he cross the line and get through in the next session? No, he's going to have to go for another one. Next is Mythic. Mythic's going to start a lap, and now we get to the final crunch moments of the session. It is crunch time. Term's invalidated. Term's going to have to go around again and get to the checker flag just in time, but I think he's just only going to miss out if he doesn't find a way here. He can't cut the track. I think he's just done that a little bit. That may see the stewards, so that could be trouble for AMS Term. We've got more coming across the line. Gagi will get to the line to complete a lap. Valk will complete a lap. JNT's invalidating. Zatzi's in the pits. And it's all kicking off here as Gecko.
Gecko's improving, yeah. Gecko's improving by 1/10. Now 2.
Yeah, we did not get to watch this first lap, so now we'll watch it. Here comes Gecko. Last season, it was a Ferrari winning the race. This season, looks to be a Ferrari aiming themselves from pole already in Q1. Already 3/10 ahead of the rest of the competition as a team. 65 thousandths ahead of the teammate in Knight. Can he extend the gap in Q1? You don't have to push it too hard, but he's going to do just that. 29-0. Here he goes. Next drivers to come across the line will be ones trying to get out of the bottom 5. Term can cross the line now and feel that he now can't get anything from it. He's eliminated. He is out of this session. Invade is next. He is aborting the lap. Might be okay. We'll find out. Mythic's down, so don't expect an improvement from him, but he's just trying to hold on over Benz, and he will do so.
Benz in the pits, and Lugag is improving by 2/10, I think. Like I saw. JNT aborted. Valk is, I think, 2/10 up on the first sector.
Now that they can back off. So, there you go. It'll be it from them. The only one who's looking like they're going to improve is Blue Goggy. Why not do what you did last week and find some confidence? Don't turn toward Term and DNF yourself even though you're safely through. He is going to improve. JNT invalidated Valk. You said backed off, but I think she's at least going to try to improve a little bit here to gives herself some confidence. No improvement. Might have backed off, like you said. But if she did back off and still was only less than a tenth down, that's not too bad at all.
Nope.
All right. Well, in that bottom 5, we've got 5 different teams eliminated. Benz out for Williams in his debut. Turnboy, another return, another Q1 elimination. Lennon is out for Alfa Romeo, not getting in a single lap. Kippo, a last-minute change in Red Bull tonight in because of Bonkers not showing up. And Leighton, of course, had to serve the qualifying ban due to being on loan, so he did not get to get any lap in and had to watch his competitors get laps in. So there's your bottom 5. Top of the table, 29-0, set by Gecko. And here it is one more time. 3 drivers in the top 14 on mediums on their best lap. And there's once again your bottom 5. Maybe a surprise in a team being Red Bull, maybe an Alpine, maybe an Alfa Romeo, I don't know. But the big standout for me in this session, though, definitely has to be drivers such as Minions and Alex Bear. Kudos to them, now on a Q2.
Just want to make you notice that Owen is on the mediums. He set that lap on the medium, so potentially, if he does the same pace, if he has the same pace on softs, he could potentially be 5/10 ahead of the lap Gecko did, if he did that on softs, because the difference between softs and mediums is 1 second. So he's done a very good lap considering the slower car and the slower tires. Just wanted to take a note from that.
Yeah, you make a very good point. You really do, because that's something that can't go unnoticed, especially when we have a run to our pole coming up very soon. So Lennon having problems with the assists. I think his game is bugged out to where it's turned assists on a 180. So I think he's very frustrated about that. Wavy's wondering why Kippu's in the Red Bull. Well, Bunky backed out late, so Kippu was called up. So there you go. That is that. Now we got J&T, the first one to exit the pit lane. And as always, chat, let us know what you think so far. Give us some predictions. 10 viewers tonight right now. And could be more, as the Tier 2 viewership the last couple weeks have really been up, so we're glad to see that here in RPL. We're glad something's working out from that. And yeah, Florian, any predictions for the bottom 5 right now? I mean, we've got a Williams through of Zatsi. Nice surprise there. He's been really good in qualifying. Goggy's through in an AlphaTauri. Minions also through for Haas. Both Haas is through. J&T is well through for Alfa Romeo, who was a big shock last week in qualifying. And there's others who could definitely either barely get in or barely be out. Invade says he's not used to this car yet, so we'll find out what happens here with those guys. Let me know what you think.
Okay, so I won't make the order. It's just like 5 drivers. I won't make them in order. For me, out are gonna be Blue Goggy, J&T, Invade, Zatsi, and Mythic.
All right. Well, oh, J&T, don't hit the wall. Okay, I think he's just letting the Red Bull go. That could have been careful. Or that could have been careful. That could have been treacherous. Wow. Yep, he is letting drivers go around him. Doesn't want to be near any traffic here when he starts his lap. I'm going to say the bottom 5 will consist of the following drivers. Mythic, Zatstree, Invade, Blue Goggy. Hate to do it, but I'm going to include J&T as well. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I can be proven wrong by some of you guys who I just said are going to be out. 29-0 was the top time in Q1. We're now on a Q2 where we're looking toward the 28s. We'll figure out what pole was last season in just a little bit during the session. But now we've got Centric's second start in RPL and second start in Tier 2. Looks to be a good one here tonight for Red Bull. Not shown a lot through Q1, but you don't expect that, though, considering it's just the session where you want to get safely through, have no mistakes, and you're in a top car, so why do you need to push? Now is where you start pushing here. Q2, 26.9 through the first sector, using a ton of curb, nearly invalidated. And keep in mind tonight, folks, we will have track limits be a big thing here, especially through those first couple corners. Maybe turn 5, 6 area that got close to the barrier. And that's another thing. If it's not track limits, we're focusing on how close these guys can run to the barrier without running into it and without nicking it. You know, we saw some guys get very close in Q1. Now you see how much Centrix is pushing in Q2. Is he going to be any closer to the barrier from when he was in Q1? And now coming to the sector split with DRS applied here, down to turn number 14. It's a 104.3, and now this final sector cut short compared to previously. You got to find more time compared to before. So here he comes. The chicane, which you're used to going through, but you cut 2 chicanes away. Centrix going to be the first to set a benchmark. What is this benchmark going to be? It's 29.3, only 0.3 off the top Q1 time. So that is a good sign. We've got Gecko, who's next. He will absolutely slam that out of the park. A 28.666, messing with the devil's number tonight. But J&T, third fastest, third one across the line. Next is a McLaren. Tadpole, third fastest. And now we get to some guys starting some laps as well. Florian, I'm curious. Where will these drivers be looking out tonight for track limits? Because there's not a lot of places compared to before, but there still is a decent bit of places where you can cut the track and pick up some warnings, time penalties, and the rest.
Yes, of course, turn 5 is the most common one where you can get warnings and the last corners. But I think the rest is pretty much at the wall, so you can't like get warnings. So yeah, if I was a driver, I would watch out for turn 4 or 5. I don't know if the one on the straight counts, and the last 2 corners.
I mean, there's a lot where these drivers can make mistakes, and it's not just track limits. I mean, we know where you could be under pressure and be overtaken. You know, there's a lot of things that go into it. Here's Wavy coming through the first sector. He's got an AlphaTauri in front of him. I hope it's not Blue Goggy. I think it is, because these two have some bad blood, and Blue Goggy luckily gets out the way in time. Wavy now coming through here. The ending bits of Sector 2. Going to find some time here, I would assume, in this section compared to Q1. Pushing a little bit over the limits onto that curb, jumping a little bit farther right than he would have wanted to. Now Wavy comes through the hairpin, which again, like I said in Q1, you can take multiple lines through, figure out a way through, and now DRS gets applied on the run towards Sector 3 to find out as Hunted has retired. He's crashed. We spoke about him earlier with his struggles. More struggles for your past champion. Hunted out of qualifying.
I think he did a Russell right there.
Yeah,
might have tapped the wall on the inside.
It's in that area. Here comes Wavy Knife, the Aston Martin driver. Gonna come across the line. More opportunities for a driver like him to get in. Oh, little slide, but 7th fastest. This should be safe for now. But obviously there's still room for others to improve. And now we've got drivers on laps. So before Owen gets to the line, which is not far in front of Knights, we'll watch Knights, who has not had a pole position in RPL since Season 9, Round 4 in Japan. That was for Aston Martin, the car we were just watching of Wavy Knife. And now he gets this opportunity in Ferrari the 2nd time this season. And rightfully so, in his return to RPL. You know, we mentioned not having a start since that Japan race, all the way up until the Season 10 finale of Tier 2. That weekend. Oh, he's going to have Owen getting in the way, and there's contact. Oh! That's going to result in some sort of steward report and issue, and that is not good. Oh, he shows his displeasure too. He is not happy at all with Owen, the Irish driver who just got in the way and was looking to start a lap, and I knew he was going to catch him, but I did not think it was going to result in that.
Yeah, that was very close. I just saw the last moment because I was focused on something other, and whew, wow, very close between the two. I can't tell who was on fault because I wasn't watching on the screen for that moment, so I can't tell anything. I
So
hope there
Hunted.
wasn't.
So to clarify what you said, Florian, Hunted hit the outside wall and bounced to the inside and took off his tire. So yeah, similar to Russell, but not entirely.
No, Russell kind of more tapped only the outside and it just broke his
Went straight on.
suspension.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same corner, but it's not the same dynamic of the incident.
Yeah, exactly. And here comes Owen coming through the sector now, the Irish driver, who is likely going to be facing some sort of backlash, as he already is in the chat. Knight's saying he's
Ooh.
feeling some people are blind. This is the area it happened. We'll watch it back in a little bit, but now we're going to watch Owen's lap to see what he does here. Obviously, could be facing a penalty, as we said. That was absolutely insanity. Owen involved in a qualifying incident second week in a row. This time might be his fault, but this time across the line is going to go fastest of them all. Q2, he will top 28.6, only 18 thousandths faster than second place Gecko.
Yeah, very good lap. Considering again the Ferraris, as you know, in real life is a qualifying car, and from personal experience, it's it's so fast in qualifying. It's like being on rails. And the Mercedes is very good too in qualifying, but not that much as a Ferrari. And for him being ahead of Geico right now in the Ferraris, I think very good. As I said before, he was only half second down on the mediums, so very good lap from Owen. Again, proving he he's the championship leader, and very well deserved from the Irish driver.
All right, so we've got Centrix now for Red Bull, third place on our timing chart. Looking to complete this lap, and he's got some traffic in front of him. Hopefully none of them going to get in the way of him. So we've got DRS applied now onto turn 14, 2/10 up. Obviously, he's not looking to slam everything out of the park here, but what he is expecting to do is at least improve in case the guys behind end up improving themselves. You've got Valk, you've got Knights, you've got still more drivers further behind. Gonna set laps, and with Hunted out of this session, Kipu out of Q1, it does open the door, as we were talking about just like last week. Centrix does improve by nearly 2/10, and we've now got drivers behind that starting laps. We'll get to Valk now. For Mercedes, 10th fastest, on the cusp of being eliminated in just 4 minutes time. We'll see what she can do. Minions for Haas, believing he's safe. We saw a good qualifying from Haas last week in Tier 1, in Texas in Tier 2, and now through to Q3 for them. Very nicely done. Here's Valk also, now out of turn 5, rear wing open on the run to turn 7 here. See if there's any improvement. There is. It's 2/10, but if I'm Valk here, I'm not expecting to just improve 2/10. I'm wanting to get ahead of Minions here. That's where I should be, you know? I think the thing is, and I don't know if you watched Formula Endurance over the weekend, Florian, but, you know, it's very weird because she had much better racecraft, but less pace. And now you got to put 2 and 2 together, because then you can be able to get to the top and compete for more podiums. She's only ever had 1 podium, and it was the race she won last season. So, obviously, in this return to Mercedes, not only just because she's Owen's teammate, but there's still a lot expected of her as she's 6/10 up.
Yeah, of course, being behind her academy teammates like Zazi and Wavy Knife isn't good for her, and I know that from personal experience too, that it's mentally it puts you on in a little bit of pressure, but I thankfully can get through it, and yeah, very
There
good
you
luck
go.
from Valk here, as you said. Still 1 second behind Owen, but as we said, it's another class because on control it's very hard to drive this track. I sometimes drive it with my friend on controller, and it's a completely different thing. So yeah,
It
good luck from
is.
her, as we expected. High 29. Yeah, I think she might be safe.
She should be. I mean, she's ahead of Minions, so she should be good. Either way, That's where I expected her to be. She should be 6th in this session. And, you know, if you're second off the teammate, fine. As long as you get into the next session and improve on that. We've got Invade now on a lap for Alpine. Alpine have a podium in this race last season, and they've had a good streak going of a podium either almost every other race or close enough to that here and there. 3/10 up on the time, obviously being slowest of those still in the session. You expect him to be. Knights went 3rd fastest, knocking Valk down. Then it means the top 3 is now close, and we got a dogfight for pole position. Knocks Wavy to the bubble. 10th place. But, yeah, I was just speaking about Invade last season in this race as well, not too long ago. You know, in contention for a podium in this race last season. I mean, heck, we had a Williams in contention for a podium at that maybe with Beatnik. But Owen and a Haas committed some very heinous crimes on Beatnik, resulting in Owen getting a penalty and Beatnik out of the race. What was going to be a good run for Williams. Possibly their best qualifying throughout both tiers at the time. Could be wrong. It was a top 5 qualifying. But this time with full qualifying, a lot can happen. A lot could change. 5/10 up for Invade. Gonna have to find time in this last sector if you want to get through to Q3. This is the last of the drivers on a full lap of watch till we get to everyone else crossing the line. Invade has to find something here. He's got to prove something now to this team, and let alone the team principals. He is going to be 11th fastest, but at least in the sense of getting used to this car, he is a little bit closer into getting into Q3, considering minimal practice with this Alpine. Mythic's out, so that's going to be it from him. The next one to come across the line is Wavy, and he's actually on a lap this time.
I think Wavy might be safe because he's improving by, I think, 2/10.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it should be safe for him.
Well,
Yeah,
he's going to make sure he
two and a
is,
half
though.
tenths.
There you go.
Yep.
Still got drivers in the elimination zone, either getting to the checkered flag or on laps. Zatsi invalidated previously, now comes across the line, barely. Gonna get through with 3 seconds to go. And now, we watch the rest of the drivers try to improve. Blue Goggy, 91 thousandths. We've got Invade. Not gonna go for a second one, but still pushing to get back to the pit lane potentially. J&T's on a lap, as we know. Wavy is backed off. And checkered flag's out. Valk is safe. J&T coming through the first sector, 59 thousandths up. Gonna have to improve to make sure he's safe. Zatsi is invalidated, but 2/10 up it would have been. Since the lap's invalid, it's not gonna count, but at least something to look at. 2/10 up he would have been there. So could have been a big fight. Blue Goggy up by 2/10 and in the wall! Oh no! That's gonna be it from Blue Goggy. It's now down to J&T, the only one left on a lap, to find out if he can improve, and he can retire safely. We'll find out if he still continues to improve, and he does. To answer your question, by the way, Valk, I think it might be your first time. Continue, though.
I think he might get ahead of Wavy, just wanted to say that.
Well, let's find out. At least maybe get some confidence here in Q3. Here we go. Across the line comes J&T. Yes, ahead of Wavy.
Whoa, very good lap.
Zatsi, let's see what this would have been. This would have been a 30.1, and that would have set him around Wavy's time. I don't think it would have been ahead, but very interesting to see in terms of where he was if that lap would have been valid. A lot of coulda, shoulda, woulda with Zatsi, but although he didn't make it through to Q3, he's put in some very good runs here for Williams in his RPL return this season. All right, we are on to Q3 now. Here are your bottom 5 drivers. We've got Invade for Alpine, Zatsi for Williams, Blue Googly for AlphaTauri, L Mythic, can't keep the L out of his name this session, unfortunately. I feel bad because he actually didn't get to get a second run in at the end to at least improve on Gagi or Zatsi. 14th place for him, and obviously crashing out of the session, a big surprise here. Florian hunted LAX out of qualifying for McLaren. 28-6 at the
Yeah,
top.
very sad to see from a former champion. And yeah, I think it's just lack of confidence in the new car. I hope he regets his form like last season and to see him back on the top fighting for wins and consistent podiums.
Well, we'll find out what happens here in Q3. We've got a tasty session on our hands. I'm going to go with a prediction for pole time. I'm going to go with a 28.3. I want to check what it is last season just to be 100%, because there's a good chance I could be very wrong on predictions with what it could be, what it might be. I'm just going to check what it was last season for reference. I think it was an Inter's qualifying. I just want to make sure, because if it was, it's not too representative last season. I believe it is correct that it wasn't Inter's qualifying. Yes, it was. But keep in mind, last season's qualifying had a Haas in the top 10, an Alfa Romeo in the top 10, Williams in the top 5, and a McLaren on pole, and we have a chance to get 3 of those 4 things tonight. So we'll find out what happens. We've had 4 different drivers this season on pole position. The only one who can repeat that tonight is Owen McMorran, the Irish driver for Mercedes. Top 3, I'll predict now. I'm going to say the top 3 will be... Man, this is really tough because I think Centrix is hiding some pace. I really find this a little tricky. Here, I'll go top 4 then. I don't usually go top 4, but I'm going to go top 4 for this one. Because actually, the last time out in Singapore, top 4 were within 0.6 of one another. And this time, with it being a full qualifying session and in the dry, I doubt it will be a little bit of a big gap like that. Top 4 in no particular order is Owen, Gecko, Knights, and Centrix. I'm going to go with pole, though, going to Gecko. Pole position time,
Yeah,
a 0.2 instead of a 0.3. I'm going to go with a 0.2. Anyway,
yes,
your
same
predictions.
for me. Same for me for the time. Very low, 28, if not the 28.0, because these guys are very fast and the track evolution between Q2 and Q3 is very high. And my top 4 is, I'm gonna go with order: P4 Centric, P3 Knights, P2 Owen, and P1 Gecko.
Yeah, I think everyone could say I'm being a little bit of, you know what, with saying top 4 instead of top 3. We always go top 3, but it's so hard to pick from this top 3 considering what I just saw in Q2 and Q1. I think top 4 will be close. We'll find out if I'm wrong, but it's time to find out. Like you said, track evolution, who's been hiding what? Here comes Minions now, the first one to complete a lap. Through this section, jumps the curb. You gotta be careful of stuff like that. That's exactly where you're gonna lose time. I know you want to find time by jumping over curbs, but you're not gonna find any time when you just go straight right from it. It's like the Singapore sling without the sling. It's just with the jump. And now we have Sector 3 on our hands with Minions, the Haas driver. We've seen some good qualifyings this season from Haas, whether it be Tier 1 or Tier 2. Nothing near pole position, but if he can put it inside the top 5 in his return, a very good showing, especially what we've seen so far. He is the benchmark, though. And this will see how far we can get in Q3. Minions, top of the board, 29.6. Gives us a little weave to say, I'm happy with that. Alex Barrett comes across the line. First time for Aston Martin in Q3. He goes top of the board, 29.1. Next is the Red Bull. This is crunch time, 28.7 for Centrix. The Ferrari is next. That is Gecko. Second fastest, a 10th off. Still room for improvement. Next is Tadpole. 5-time winner in Season 7 in his championship season. 6/10 off. Next is Owen, the championship leader. Sorry, Valk. 10th place on the board. Invalidated that lap, but I believe she's going for this one. So next we have Wavy, who has made Q3 a couple times this season, but never converted it to a race up until last week. 6th place for him. And now we get to the crunch stuff with Owen. 103.8 in this sector. It looks okay. He gone over the white line. I would expect that to be invalidated, but the game gave him some leniency, so I'm very happy to see that, especially considering how that section has been in recent games. Now through this section, again, how do you want to go about your line? Do you want to go a little late in, slow out? How do you want to do it? Little trouble for him. It's only third fastest, and that could have been the front row.
Yeah, so for those corners, you want to just take it as normal, as you would think, and not do something special. Maybe the first one after the old bridge, maybe take it a little bit more careful to go full throttle for the next one and try to maximize the exit speed,
Yeah.
because it's very important, as the last two corners are the two fastest of the whole track.
Chat, give us your predictions. We've got Invader giving his, and now it's time to see who will take pole position. Valk's the last one to come across the line in everybody's used set or first laps of Q3. Valk is 7th fastest, not the best of times to set your benchmark, but I will say, ahead of previous Mercedes driver, Wavy Knife, Academy teammate, right there. So it's at least something. If she knows there's mistakes in this lap, you just got to improve it on the second one. Now, I think it's time to go over our point standings here. Everyone is on and in laps, so we'll do that now. This is perfect timing. So after last week, Owen extended the championship gap even more, and reasonably so. With that said, he extended the championship gap so much to where he could DNF for the next 2 races and keep the championship lead as long as no one else takes the fastest lap. Also, 50 points ahead of Lennon, 2nd place. Tadpole is 3rd, 62 points back from McLaren, maybe mounting a 2nd title here in RPL. Got one with Red Bull. Owen, a 3-time champion here of Tier 2. Could be going for a 4th, obviously, with this championship lead. Bonkers is 5th, not here tonight, but he is 66 points back. And of the drivers still active, you know, he's the closest to Tadpole of drivers who will improve or not improve. I say still active because Be Good, Tier 1 driver now. We'll see what happens with him now that he's going to a different academy. A lot of transitions we'll talk about more tomorrow. We've already talked about some of them tonight. The big one being Alex Baer going to Aston Martin. Gecko now up to Ferrari. And Lennon back to Alfa Romeo. Just a lot of changes during the transfer window. Invade as well, alone tonight for Alpine. Being dropped from full-time action. Gonna have something to prove here. Invade will, obviously. He was out in qualifying. Constructors as well. Mercedes have been carried on their back by Owen, and it's exactly why I say with these expectations from Valkyrie, you need to find something just right in the middle from your team. Get some points here. Wavy didn't get some points in Mercedes. Valk got points last week, and it's exactly what's helping. You know, it feels like that stat, if you've ever seen basketball, where Kobe Bryant, 62 of 63, and his teammate got 1. That's what Mercedes felt like up until last week with Valk, with Wavy. And Wavy knew that was not the car for him. But now, I think both drivers are in the right car. And we get to see what Valk can do. Like I said, all she needs to do is just be close to that teammate and score some points. Have some nice racecraft. And that will help because McLaren are 32 back, Ferrari are 36 back, and Red Bull, who have yet to win a race, are also 36 points back, looking for a 2nd pole position this season. 4 different teams, 4 different drivers on pole. And one more thing, Aston Martin, last in the constructors, 3 points for them. They've got both cars in this session. Take over now for Centric's Florian as I get Turnboy and invite back to the session. Final qualifying laps now about to be underway.
Yeah, on the last qualifying laps, you want to be very concentrated to not make any mistakes, especially on the warnings, and try to not get invalidated, and try to maximize everything you can. Try to make the best out of it. You have some pressure because it's still Singapore, so yeah, it's very hard track, as
Oh,
always said from everyone. Uh, it's a very good lap from Centric, by the way. He improved by 2 tenths in the first, and now has done a
ooh,
very good middle sector. Yeah.
what was he
Uh,
hiding?
yeah, he was hiding some pace there, as you said before. And my prediction is he's gonna get a point 4, which I think will be beaten. And I wanted to say before that Gecko was, I think, and or he did a, yeah, 28.4, or he did a very big mistake, or he was just on used tires. That's why he was so slow.
Well,
But very
that
good
makes
lap from
sense.
Centrix,
Yeah, drop the
considering.
sandbags. He is going to extend pole position. 28-4. FRC Knights might be one and done here in this lap. Used all the better in this one. Didn't get a lap in the first go. Now in the second go is looking for a second pole position. This game cycle crosses a line. Now it can only do third. He can only be third fastest of the runners, but he is behind his teammate, so there's some hope at the end of the tunnel. Next is Minions, who crosses the line for a lap. Valk is also on a lap. We will watch Minions. This will be our last lap of a driver we go on board with. We've got Sector 1. We now go through now for Minions, who's looking to pull an upset for Haas tonight. Whether it be in the race, whether it be in qualifying, just taps the wall a little bit. Should be okay. Florian, you're a previous pole sitter here in Singapore. What do you need to do to maximize a lap around here? Probably one of the toughest street circuits, let alone circuits on our calendars. Minions is down on the time.
Yeah, as I said before, it's very tricky. And when I did the lap, and when I did the pole lap, it was still the old layout on the old game. And yeah, I had a little bit of pressure that qualifying, but not that much because already on the first run I was like 3 tenths ahead of P2, which was my teammate. So I had less pressure, and I managed to do a great lap, which was only, I think, not that much away from my best in time trial and practice in GP mode. So yeah, I wish good luck to the drivers because you need to be very concentrated around here.
Well,
And oh no,
sorry
go
to cut
ahead.
in. Sorry to cut in. We
No, no,
got
no
final laps
worries.
here. Checker flags out. Sorry about that. Minion say he was going to push the car to either get a good lap or crash. Will now coming across the line. It will be an improvement.
Well,
Not enough, though, to improve any places, as we see. Valk cross the line, only 8th. Alex Bear is next for Aston Martin. Will there be an improvement? There is, but none on the timing charts. Now, Knights to the pit lane. Owen and Gecko. Still the top two in terms of raw pace so far. Still left.
Gecko
Can
is
Owen take
making
a
it.
pole position number 2 of the season? You can. Bet he will. But Gecko can't improve on it. Gecko only 3rd. Now, it's only down to really Tadpole of the competitive drivers left to knock Owen off of a second pole position this season, let alone a repeated one. Tadpole now comes through the sector split, 9 thousandths down, so he's only going to improve maybe with just Alex Bear here as of right now. J&T further behind is on a lap, though. We'll see what he can do. If he's backed off. Nope, he's not. So J&T still on one. Tadpole still on one. But for now, it's looking like an Owen pole position here. Tadpole comes across the line for McLaren. It is an improvement, but we don't see any places up any higher. J&T last across the line, last of our drivers on the board. But Owen, the Irish driver, is going to be on pole position for the second time this season. Mercedes and him become the first repeat pole sitters of the season, and the championship leader helps himself out once more.
Very good lap from Owen. And yeah, as I said before in Q1, with those mediums, he looked very fast. And here's the proof that he's P1 in the championship. So no doubt about that one. And yeah, overall, good lap. We both got the top 4 right, but I didn't get it in the order.
Neither did I get the pole time
So
right. There you go. There's your order, folks. Yeah. We'll have to see what people can do. I think the big surprise of that session, rightfully so, Minions. Alex Bear, nice shut up, by the way, P5. So, fair play to both of them. The strategy for tonight, let's talk about that quickly. It should be either a hard to medium or medium hard race. If we're expecting any Hail Marys, I doubt we'll go soft hard. We could go to a 2-stop depending on some safety cars. Good chance for that. We saw one last season in this race. Maybe more than just one. So, if we get a 1-stop instead of a 2-stop, then for Hail Mary, expect it to be the hard to soft combo, or soft to hard if we see anyone start on the softs. You lose a total of 26 seconds in the pit lane, but only gain back 14% in that ERS. And you got to be careful on pit exit and pit entry. We had a lot of talk in Tier 1 about drivers on that white line. You have to be careful in the pit lane here with the folks around you. See what happens tonight for the race chat. Give us your predictions. And we're about to kick off things in just a little bit.
I'm gonna make my predictions. So, P1 Owen, P2 Gecko, P3 Centrix, P4 Knights, and P5 Alex Bear.
All right, let's see what the drivers can do for tonight's race. In Singapore, we're under the lights. Not going to be the last time we're under the lights for a street circuit this season. We've got Saudi Arabia on a few rounds, and we've got Las Vegas coming up, round 13 of the season, the final round of Tier 2, and the longest the Tier 2 calendar has ever been in RPL history, with 26 races for Tier 1. Has enabled a little bit of an opening with that being said. And I'll look for the tires right now, see who's on what. Looks mostly to be mediums or hards. No gambles inside that top 14. Here we go. It is time for Singapore. The drivers rev it up. And it's pedal to the metal. Let us go, go, go. Under the lights here in Singapore. Owen off the line quite well, but Centrix always there to challenge in the Red Bull with kicking off a great start. There's contact. That Red Bull is absolutely fiery on the start, as I was just about to say, but he made contact with Gecko, who looked to get off the second phase way better. He's taken second place away from Centrix. Now, it's Knights following behind, and everybody throughout the top 10, all the way back to just J&T, fighting to keep in the top 10. All single file. Now in the run to Sector 2, it's Gecko who tries to gain an Owen, can't do much, and we switch to the back of the field. We've got a retirement. Benz, and his first ever RPL start is out, and it's not even a sector in. Virtual safety car, and now a front wing being broken from an AlphaTauri. And Term is out. Term is also out. Term has left the session either out of frustration or the game returning on track, and that's where the front wing was gone. It was from the Alpine, not an AlphaTauri. Virtual safety car, still no upgrade yet.
Yeah, I think Term Boy disconnected.
Either disconnected
the game,
or raged. I'm not going to assume, but it was one of the two.
Yeah. Very chaotic start. Good start from Gecko. And yeah.
Field is hard or medium, so no surprise there, as I was about to say.
Yeah. No, for now, the Owen should just try to go out of that DRS, because here it helps you massively, especially if you have high low downforce setup.
Yeah,
and
it looks like, based on what I'm hearing, sorry to cut in, I was going to say, it looks like based on what I'm hearing, this is a long virtual safety car. I think Term retired on purpose. We've got two runners to the pit lane. Virtual safety car's done. Oh, Tadpole and Minions have come together in turn 1. And now they're both outside the points after a really good qualifying effort from both of them.
Wow. That was unexpected, to be honest.
Front wing being changed from Leighton and Hunted. Both pitting on lap 1. Gecko trying to gain some ground here that he may have lost under the VSC. You now see our places gained from lap 1. And lap 2 really as well, because of the start of it. We've got Zatsy up 5, Valk 2. Invade with a good start. That was much needed. 2 places. Mythic 3, 7 for Kipu. And yeah, big losers being Tadpole, Minions, Hunted. And I'd even say Centrix, just considering he's in a Red Bull right there. I know down 1 place, but this is a really tricky track to overtake and you gotta maximize everything you can. Speaking of that overtake button, Owen's doing just that.
Yeah, so when he's doing what I just said, and I think Gakko has a low downforce setup. Yes, he has. He's gaining on the straight, and he's going to try to. Of course, when you have a low downforce setup, you don't have to use much ERS because you gain so much on the straights that you don't need to use it. Yeah, as I said, Owen wants to get out of the DRS, which won't be able to do this lap. And by the way, Valk did a nice start. Get P6 there from Zazi, and Zazi's very slow. Was expected, to be honest. Needed. And yeah, we'll hope that it's gonna be a clean race and no particular crashes. Not a long race.
Yeah, just want to say, it looks like it's spread out to where, there won't be too many of that. Kippu, by the way, while you were saying that, made a move for 11th place, and it looked like the Ferrari of Knights was ducking out right there. May have caught Centrix off guard. It looks like it has just a little bit. But, yeah, Kippu, points for AlphaTauri last week, making themselves back in the points. Oh, Centrix in the wall! I was talking about getting caught out, and now he's been caught out even more. He's going to have the run toward turn number 14, but it ain't going to be enough to overtake here now. Not after that. No, with Kippu, he ended up the teammate now, by the way, of Centrix for this race tonight after Bunkers backed out last second. He gave AlphaTauri their first points last week in over a season, and it was much needed. But now, being in Red Bull, top car, starting from the back of the field, due to that in a way, he's made everything of it. Most places gained. Fair play to him. And yeah, Centrix costly mistake there, Florian.
Yeah, he was lucky to not get any wing damage. I mean, from the broadcast you can't tell if he got wing damage, but visually he hasn't, maybe some percentage. And yeah, for being Singapore race, not much going on, and Alex Baer trying to make a move on the outside of Centrix, but backed out.
I think because of that he's lost DRS too. That issue he had there we were talking about. Here's Kippu and J&T. This is for points now. Here's Kippu on the outside line. J&T going to try to protect that. Kippu doesn't try a switchback, but holds his own, and holds his own beautifully. Gets the place over J&T. So, there you have it. That is done. J&T wanting to fight back a little, but not anything from it. Alex Baer hits the back of Centrix. Accordion effect. Little contact. Nothing too severe. They all now go back to single file. But, yeah, either damage to Centrix or just confidence, whatever it was. Florian has costed him here because he's lost out a ton to them.
Yeah,
no DRS anymore.
I think it might be confidence, because it happens to me the same. Sometimes you just spin it and you don't feel that much confidence in the car, and then it's cautious. Oh, and I think he got damage. He's pitting. He might have got damage.
Minions, by the way, sorry to cut in, but this is amazing. Minions just overtook two of them after being so far back. Centrix did pit. You might be right about damage. Could be affecting him. Blue Goggy and Mythic now race side by side on the main straight. This three-car battle back here. That's why we don't take our eyes off this stuff at the back of the field. Move done. Move complete. He's clear of him as of this current moment. Has got the place. I mean, just the fighting in the back of the field can't go ignored. And now Kipper looks to take his 11th place in this race.
Yeah, he's going for a move on the inside, and he's done it easily and lovely. And
he's
on
not the fastest
front
driver, Florian, but he's keeps it clean a lot.
Yeah, you can tell that. Yeah, he's very, very calm driver, and I think he has some good potential in a top car. Considering he started 18th or 19th this race, still being 8th right now is very good. I mean, yeah, it's good, yeah. And up ahead he has Wavy, and then Zazi. I think that will be an easy job for him to overtake. At least should be. And by the way, I was talking up on front. It's very close, and Owen didn't manage to go out of the DRS, and still has much battery though. I don't think he's trying to pushing anything. And yeah, as a driver, if I was Gek, I would just stay behind for a little bit. Maybe there's a safety car, and you know, when there's a safety car, being first is the biggest problem in the world, because when you do something, your opponent will do the opposite. Meanwhile, Gecko trying to intimidate. Oh, and no, I was saying, being first while there's a safety car is very shit, because if you pit, then maybe the other your the P2 stays out, and it's just very hard. So I think Owen isn't pushing because of that. And yeah,
Well, he's also got both Ferraris behind him, so he knows that he's under double attack, you can say, in a way. And Gecko just, again, sneaking a peek, trying to figure out if Owen will fold, but he hasn't done so yet. And you mentioned the battery. I think not too long ago, maybe slightly. It was either DRS or battery. You mentioned DRS for sure, but battery is close between the two leaders. But with Knights, he's got 20% less battery than these two up front. So obviously got to be a little bit more conservative, Knights does here in this race at the front of the field. DRS enabled once more for Gecko, but just not close enough for a move. And Owen, I think, will be happy to know that there's Valk behind in 5th. Academy teammate Alex Bear, P4, trying to catch up to these guys after Cintrix kind of created a blockage, I guess you could say, after his damage that he had. So, yeah, a lot has happened since. With that being said, a little bit closer for a move this time from HSR Gecko, but pulls a little bit of dummy, and now has a more of a run on the run toward the first real corner of Sector 2, and can't get the move done. Obviously not thinking of it, probably just trying to play some games with Owen. Alex Bear holding on to P4, and behind that, J&T and Invade trading some spots for P9 right now. Invade gonna maybe try the switchback. Not this time, but hanging in right behind now, just on the last bit for points, and the highest hard runner, though, still in this race.
By the way, yeah, Gecko is doing what I said, just stay behind and wait maybe for a safety car, virtual safety car. And I think more than overtaking, he's just trying to push Owen into some errors, into some mistakes, sorry. Yeah, I think it's more than trying to overtake, it's to intimidate Owen and telling him, look, I'm here, you're not alone. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
I agree with that. And you know what? You're right. He's not alone. You got Ferraris here with him. You've got Alex Bear, by the way, who's actually gapped Valk and is the same amount of time behind as he previously was. And now Minions makes a really good move there into the chicane in Sector 3, gets the move done, and is up a place on the Alpine. Now, once more closer for this lead is Gecko. Here comes Gecko. Can Gecko find a way past? Is he finding a way past now? Yes, he is. Here he goes on the inside line. Gonna squeeze Owen almost to the barrier. And now Gecko takes over the race lead for Ferrari. He had the lead last week in Formula Endurance, the last time we left off in RPL. This time for Tier 2 in the same car. Promoted to Ferrari this week. He's gonna take the race lead, obviously, over Owen, with just an easy way out.
Now, of course, Knights will be a problem for Owen, because these are the drivers from the same team, and of course they'll work together. And almost a crash between the two. Yeah, very close.
I don't think he meant to do that.
Yeah, and Knights is gonna go for it, not right on this corner, but on the second DRS straight after the lap starts.
Hold on 1 second. Kipu, by the way, looking to... Oh, that was almost contact. Valk slipped a session. She'll need an invite back, but Kipu just about got squeezed to the wall right there with Wavy. And now Kipu finally does find a way past. Wavy weaving, I think maybe saying, sorry.
Owen lost much time because he was just 3 tenths back, 2 tenths, and now he's 8 tenths back. He might have made a big mistake there. Sorry to interrupt you, by the way, but worth to
You're good.
mention because it's a race lead. And
Yeah,
now
absolutely.
FFC Knights is not going for it, not deploying the battery, and yeah, I don't understand because it's not easy to overtake, but still, he could have overtaken him, and it would be more easier to manage for the Ferrari team.
Yeah, I mean, you got Owen now trapped there, and instead of maybe Owen not pushing a full 90, 95%, maybe just an 85%, it backed these guys closer to Alex Bear, who is pushing, of course, for Aston Martin. And now that the Ferrari is the one in front, Owen can't do that. Alex Bear's lost 3 tenths since Owen lost the lead, so can't manage this race for the Academy teammates behind. But speaking of Academy teammates, Valkyrie is back in the session and did lose 3 seconds to Alex Bear, but holds on to P5. So very nice showing from her, even though it was a poor qualifying. Good start, but now needs to hold on after lagging out here. And Kipu did get P7, as we mentioned not too long ago. Wavy did turn over the place, but now that we're a third of the way in, Kipu's going to need to get some more track position here. His next target is P6 for Zatsy. And I really wonder, you mentioned safety cars or VSCs. There was one VSC already. If there's a full safety car, I really think Kipu can get in this race for the front of the field. But it might take just a little bit. We'll have to find out. Lap 10 now. DRS enabled. Owen's still barely in it. And now, using some of that battery. And the top 3 are much closer on their battery within one another.
Yeah, of course, Owen now trying to get closer and closer because we know that on this game, the slipstream is extremely effective, but not from this distance. Even though you have a DRS, and not only that, it's because he has another Ferrari on his back of FRC Knights, which will make very big pressure on him. And as I said before, both Ferraris are running a low wings setup, so it's harder for Owen to gain on the straight. Of course, he will gain a little bit, but not that much as they would run the same setup. And yeah, of course, all are trying to manage the batteries at its best. And I think for now the favorite is Knights, because he can manage from behind and see what the guys in front of him do, if they pit or not. And yeah, he's in the best position for me.
I was just looking at the guys further behind that to see if they'd gain anything. I think Goggy was close, not close enough. Kipu is much more closer to Zatsy, but I don't expect to move here up until maybe the next DRS zone, which we could see here. Obviously now Singapore has 3 DRS zones compared to the previous 2. Kipu is closer. We spoke with Beatnik last week about a Red Bull versus Williams. I think you're loving to see this being a part of the Red Bull Academy, where Kipu's much closer, has a chance. Which way does he go? This time, left side, far away around, close to the wall there, giving Zatsy as much room as possible in case Zatsy decides to go a little defensive. But there's no need for it, because Kipu is now up a place into 6th place. Next target is Valkyrie, and this could be a really good race for Kipu, who's looking for a good run tonight. Invade and Blugagi also trade spots. Centrix and Mythic also on the
Owen is out of
second
DRS.
street.
Sorry to interrupt you. Owen is out of DRS.
Yeah, that is big for this race, by the way. That is big. He's got to find his way back into DRS and Tadpole. Now 3-second penalty. He's just barely in it, Florian. But 3 overtakes there from Red Bull Academy cars in the last 60 seconds there. Now one
For a
gets
moment
overtaken.
he was out. Yeah. It's of course very tricky right now because he tend to make some mistakes, and he might have gone a little bit wide there, lost some time.
Finally,
And
DRS now.
maybe a warning. Now he has DRS, but from distance you tend to make mistakes. Just try to push too hard, and and maybe get out, but that's not what Owen's doing. He's doing a great job
I've
and
been
got again into DRS.
sorry. I wanted to cut in. I wanted to make a joke here since some of the action has calmed down. I was told by a former, well, not former, but well, not former anymore. I guess you could say that kind of gives it away. But a fellow Red Bull Academy teammate of yours that you sound Dutch. He couldn't tell who it was on stream. So yeah, I am alongside Florian tonight. For those of you wondering, and did not catch the stream at the very start. 9 of you watching, glad to have you here. No, so speaking of Red Bull though, two things. Leighton, last of those still in this race, he made his Tier 2 return in this race last season at round 8. He finished runner-up in the Tier 2 championship in the very start of Tier 2. Obviously not the same those days are for him, but at least still in this race, keeping his car clean after the start, which is good to see. Just, it's been a struggle, so I feel bad for him. We've got Kippu, close to Valk and DRS. That's all you could ask for. And you were talking about the DRS battle there with Owen and Gecko. I mean, he found something because he's back in DRS, but he's not using any of that battery to get back in. I mean, they're all really just about level on that battery, being a third of the way in.
Yeah, they're using it sometimes a little bit on some straights where there is not DRS, and of course you can't gain battery there, but you don't lose much because with the DRS it levels it a little bit.
Let's check
So
something. Let's see something.
I think it from the front it's not gonna be a very chaotic race from now on. These guys want to make a party for us, and we
Well,
hope that, anyways.
minions, pits, Kippu, now in DRS, in pursuit of Valk, around the outside. Valk's gonna go protective, and you saw last season in this race, it was a Red Bull and Mercedes going side by side in a section where the two came together, Hunted and Valk. This time, Valk gives enough space, but there's a crash. Leighton's out of this race. Leighton retires on track, though, so what will result in a safety car, but Valk with amazing defense slams the door, but just enough to keep Kippu on the road, and now Zatz is caught up to the Academy teammate, for a little bit of company. Sorry to cut in there. I just wanted to look at the strategy as well with battery while we also talk about that. Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing racing.
very good defense from out there on the outside. Very tricky to defend there. Yeah, very good.
Okay, so I just figured this out. So, oh, hold on. I think we may have removed here forming. Not yet. Valk was lagging a little bit, so I think Kippu had to back off a little more than anticipated. I think Kippu's lagging too.
Keep pitting.
Yeah, that may be why. So, you mentioned... Yes! Whoa, what just happened? Okay, that's lag. Never mind. Whoa. Okay, that scared me a little bit. I thought he was going to get a penalty for that. Or crash out of the race. We did see in Tier 1 there were some guys who hit the pit wall due to avoiding others near them, but Wavy, J&T, they're both in as well. No, battery, here's what I was going to say. Let me get back on track. When you use the battery per lap, it's like 8% use, but with no usage, you gain back 7%. So, I mean, we're going to see tonight who's using the battery when, how much they're using it. Oh, and a little bit late into that corner once again. He's got to be very careful. I mean, he collided the last time we were here with Beatnik due to something like that a little too late into the corner. So, obviously, he's figured it out to close in time, but when he gets too close to Gecko, as we saw almost 2 times now, a collision is within sights with these two, and we don't want to see that between the leaders. We want to see a good race at the front of the field, as those guys who have pitted have now come out. And now leaders in. Gecko's in. I just wanted to mention one thing quickly as he shifts down to neutral to make sure he was just safe into the pits. Leighton says he left and the game DNF'd him, so that is why that has happened. Into the pits is both Mercedes Academy cars, Datsy and Valk. Who's going to maximize the pit lane here? It is Valk.
FRC Knight isn't any close to try to attack Owen, which would have been very tactical for Gecko, but Gecko's gonna gain much time right now because Undercut is very powerful this game, and I expect him to be 1 or 2 seconds ahead of the pack of Owen and Knights.
I just want to look because of our hard runners right now. We have obviously those guys coming out of the pit lane. Let's make sure they don't collide with anybody or have anything happen. They are close with action. Gecko's left the session. Oh, that's right out of the pit lane. That's going to be something that hinders him in this race. The undercut was possible. Now, maybe not. Valk was close with Mythic. Zatsy behind Mythic now. Zatsy on Mythic. Mythic defensive. Zatsy inside line. Mythic still going to be around the outside, but maybe trying for a switchback now on older tires. Does do so. Outside line is his. Zatsy slams the door, and that door gets shut before turn 6, 7, 8 area, where that happens. Tadpole backing off of Wavy. Race leaders are in, though. Just wanted to mention one thing about our hard runners. It was around 16 laps where those who stayed out, even with safety cars, did finally hit the pit lane. So guys like Blue Goggy, Invade. I'm going to see if I can get an invite to Gecko here, if he doesn't have one already. I don't think this account has him added, but it's going to be very crucial to get him in here. I don't think you could do it through PC there, Florian, so I'm going to do it while we focus on his ghosted car and see the gap now. Here we go.
Yeah, he just came behind. Gecko's back.
Yeah. He's
wow,
back in the session, but behind his competitors. Well, his competitor, Owen. And he's going to have to come out here, hopefully, within DRS once he does join back the session. But it's a matter of when do you join back the session, because you got your teammate right there, too.
Okay, he
should be back in now.
He's back.
Look at that. See what the undercut does. Centrix gets by Blue Goggy. Centrix has a time penalty, and now the two teammates went side by side, but Gecko, a little screen freeze, I think, trying to come back in the session, has now lost out, and Knights now at a DRS because of that. Owen gets gifted the lead.
Yeah, they swapped places because Gecko went out of the racing line. I don't understand it. Maybe he just wanted to go safe, but he was with the DRS. Yeah, I mean, maybe they're doing something in the Ferrari voice chat and that we don't know. Maybe intelligence, strategy, and Knights within the DRS.
Valk on the move with Invade. 2 ex-teammates. Invade now down to 10th, and maybe just hoping for a safety car and wanting to extend this period of tires. Kippu follows Hunted, who's already pitted a long time ago, but gonna have to pit again on those mediums. Can't go too much longer, Hunted. It's likely gonna be around the next 3 to 5 laps, if not now. Here we go. Back into the pit lane. Same with Blue Goggy. Sorry to cut in.
Yeah, no worries. I have nothing to say anymore. Part that Knights doesn't have any ERS anymore, just 10% and Gecko 25. So in this lap they pushed a lot to get to the DRS, and just very tactical. And I think it's gonna be like this for the rest of the race until the last laps.
I mean, does that undercut backfire at all from Gecko? I mean, I would hope not. Last week he had a podium in Alfa Romeo. This week he's in a Ferrari. Trying to do 2 spots better, if not 1. Knights is closing in on Owen. Going much faster on this lap. Owen,
I mean,
I'd assume similar too. Now, I think with the undercut from Gecko, it's just unfortunate that he lagged out at the time because, I mean, it really could have been holding on to the race lead. That could have been the difference. Kippu gets by Centrix, who's yet to pit. Maybe trying to do wonders because Alex Bear's been backed up here. So there you go. Valk also in this too, trying to do some help for Mercedes, considering Ferrari is 2nd and 3rd. Fastest laps being set. I say, you know, trying to do some help because Owen's leading on his own. I don't think Valk's going to get to this top 3, but I think she can get to 4th, maybe 5th here. She does get by Centrix here. Centrix pits.
And nice, he's gonna go for it for a tactical move, I think, deploying all his ERS, try to get out of Owen.
Whoa!
On the inside. Uh,
Contact
collide.
with
Oh.
Knights. Little lag, but around the outside, Knights is going to hold on. Almost touching the barrier. Now we've got 3 cars under a blanket here. Into this left-hander. Does the teammate take advantage? The answer will be no. But Knights intimidating Owen.
Yeah, that might be a thing to review from the stewards because Knights was wide ahead and they touched still, but I mean they were side by side, so and I'm not a steward, so I can't talk. But yeah,
There was a lot of controversy with that in Tier 1, with, you know, stewards being people who are in academy. I will say, I take no offense because I don't blame them. They don't know me as well with that, but I'm not in an academy, so if people feel like it's bias, you know, with people being in academies, I have no bias to give. I like to provide 50-50 here. I'm glad I'm not in an academy, therefore I can bash both sides of it. I can say good things about the Ferrari or Mercedes academy as they're, you know, running in the top 3 spots, or I can say bad things about it. I like to play both sides here, and I think I do just that. And that battery's getting just even worse for Knights, just trying to get by Owen. Gecko's a little lower than Owen in the battery, but not drastically, though. And now, here comes Knights. Mounting an attack once more. Does he go for it in the braking zone? No. Further behind that, we've got Valk still in DRS of Kipu. They both need to find some time to chase after Alex Bear, because Alex Bear is putting in some good times here. And actually, with that battling, has caught up a little bit to that top 3, but he's just too far back. You don't expect Alex Bear to maybe pull off a miracle here at the end, unless the top 3 crash.
Yeah, hopefully not, because it will be a nice show for us here to see the last laps. Knights, of course, with the battery disadvantage. And Owen is in a very good battery, considering he's first almost 50% of that battery, and Knights on 13. I think Knight shouldn't just boost, he should just try to overtake him. Just don't use it for the rest of the lap and overtake him, and then he can manage a little bit better. So his teammate Gecko here overtakes him, and then it's double better for Ferrari. I think we're gonna see no overtakes in turn 1, but all overtakes are gonna be on the second DRS zone. That is
gotta
turn
get done somehow.
5. Bad exit there from Knights.
Just one thing to mention here, as we get to the closing stages. Only 3 retirements. We've lost Leighton, Turnboy, and Benz from 3 different academies and 3 teams. And the last time on a street circuit in RPL Tier 2, we've had 3 or less DNFs. Goes all the way back to round number 9, Season 9, Vegas. Only 3 DNFs that race. And it would be the 2nd time this game cycle that that's the case. So good showing from our drivers tonight, with a full grid on our hands. But
Owen will get the
exactly
arrest from the ghosting car.
Yeah, that's beneficial. That is Lennon, the academy teammate to these 2 Ferraris, and not in the session due to assists being all messed up for him. Remember, with these 2 Ferraris and right now 2 McLarens outside the points, just keep this in mind from how things have changed throughout RPL the last couple weeks, let alone in time. Ferrari, 0 points last week, first time since Season 9, Round 10, Italy. McLaren, 0 points last week, first time since the Season 9, Round 9, Vegas. And Tadpole's out of this race, the virtual safety car's out. That is a McLaren we were just talking about as a team aspect, needing something to happen. That's on the right side of the track. There could have been contact based on how that car's looking, but McLaren in more trouble. Might not be getting points again tonight, too.
Yeah, that's very bad from McLaren, considering it's the 3rd best car in the game for many sets. Yeah, returning to the top. this versus safety car is very important for Knight because he can reload his battery a little bit, just he doesn't want to sleep on that restart, um, which I think is gonna be just now.
There we go.
And yes, Knights gained very much time there on the restart, gained half a second there almost. But whoa, that was close to the wall there.
Yeah.
Uh,
It,
yeah, he
crunch
might
time.
get him. He might get him next lap.
Oh,
And
he's getting more
Gecko,
tantalizingly closer to Owen
yep,
here, trying to intercept the race lead once again. Obviously, this is crucial for Gecko as well, who's in the thick of things, maybe just trying to conserve some battery. Got 10% less in the battery than Owen, similar to how they were earlier. But now, Knights trying to gaining, but not going to get the overtake done. Invade also in the background, you saw pick up a penalty. Valk on new mediums, trying to get the most of this with Blue Goggy being a little bit of a blockage. This is getting a little bit treacherous for her. She needs to make the move now. I know the race lead is close. Here we go.
battling.
Knights, a little too close there.
Knights
Turn one for a
wasn't-
move. Could have
Yeah, was it
ended in
around the
tears, but
outside?
Valk finally gets Blue Goggy. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, now on the straight where I talked a lot about overtakes, didn't expect that try to overtake from Knights, and now he's not going to try to overtake. A little bit too far away and a little bit too less battery. Just try to tell him that he's not. Yeah, very mm, not so a chaotic race. Single safety car, just too weird.
Yeah, without a safety car, yeah.
Once.
But shout out to Zatsy P6 for Williams. Oh, that's lag. Never mind. Okay, we're good. Little lag moment from the race leaders. Apologies there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just. By the way, just one thing. If Owen does get overtaken from our race leaders, well, race leaders in second and third, the contenders. You know, Canada is where he finished worst this season. Second. He's won 3 of the 4 races already done, so wouldn't be too bad to finish second here tonight. But still wants a win, as always.
Yeah, Knight of course wants to win this race and wants to win it because I don't know if he even won even the race in the Ferrari. I don't think so. In Tier 2. And
Nope, no win for Team in Tier 2.
and just to revive a little bit the hopes for a. I think Ferrari's a little bit back there, if I'm right. And yeah.
Yeah, in terms of their constructors, they've been the closest ones to Mercedes. Yeah, a little bit of lag on my end, I think it is. It's on my end because the stream is bugging a little bit. My apologies, folks. Minions does get Centrix for P12. We switch back to the race lead with just less than 10 laps remaining. Owen trying to hang on.
Yeah, Owen started to push a little bit, and he has a great battery, 60% on it, and yeah, he's pretty much partners. I can't see the strength from the Ferraris to overtake him. They're they're far back, and if they want to switch places, it's gonna cost them a lot of time. Yeah, of course the race hasn't ended yet. It's still 7 laps, but I pretty much think Owen has the biggest percentage to win here. From the
Yeah.
3 because he has the most battery. He's first. He still can't push with that battery, and we know that he's very fast on the race pace.
By
And
the way, I want to cut in and say one thing quickly because I'm really surprised about this, and I want to know, you as the driver would know better than I do. Valk on these mediums has not gained what I thought she would. She was running around where Zetzi was and Kippu, pitted, compromised herself in the track position, and now she's not gaining really anything.
yeah,
She's only gained on Hunted on time, but you got to get by your competitors. You can't hold back anything, and it seems like there's a little bit being held back here right now.
yeah, I didn't even notice that because yeah, she was P5 and in the DRS zone of Alex Baird, and unfortunately she disconnected. But apart from that, she lost much time. Now she's in the DRS from off
Oh,
Hunted, and someone crashed or
minions
spawn minions.
has had an off.
Yeah, just I can't explain why. And okay, this game for me personally, the hards are faster than the mediums. This game, but yeah, I mean it's personal opinion. And back to the top, Knights gained 3/10 again and is now pretty much in the back of Owen again. Oh, he tapped a little bit the wall, I think, but it was the lag and minions retires in the pits.
Fifth retirement this race. I think I jinxed us. Well, yeah. Now it's up to the top three to figure out when is the right time to start pushing even more like Owen has. Owen has pushed, but they've also pushed behind a little bit because you can now see how much Gecko's getting close to the wall and wants by the teammate. Here goes Valken Hunted. Hunted's around. Hunted's got damage. And these two had a collision last season in this corner. Has it happened again is now going to be my question here after this race, after I see some clips. That will be interesting to see. Hunted does have damage and now is going to be outside the points. Blue Goggy was penalized last week, low on fuel now, and looking for a points finish for the first time since Brazil, round 11, season 9. Also, a couple other things to mention since we have a little bit of time before some overtakes at the front. Nice is using that battery, deploying it all. Wavy in the points for Aston Martin again this week, trying to go 2 in a row. J&T right there, Valken 9th. J&T good showing. Zatsy as well, good showing. Alex Bear, quiet race. Kippu, good recovery. And those leaders are just waiting on the right time to pounce behind Owen. Knights and Gecko. Gecko's used a bit of this battery. Owen saved a bit of this battery, which is maybe why he's not catching as much, not pulling as much as these guys are catching now. We've got 2 Academy teammates further on back. We did get a late safety car here last season, so we got to be careful in watching these guys further back. Valk is on the run and on the charge on Wavy. Centrix by Hunted. Now, here goes Valk, ducking out, making the move. She threw on Wavy. Now, J&T wants to follow suit, and now for the lead. Just edging closer is Knights, but not close enough. Owen is going for his 16th win all time, and now, Knights is going for his first ever in Tier 2.
Yeah, of course, this part is very crucial for Knights, and I think he, oh, whoa, that was very close there to spinning. He's gonna try it on the second straight, and Gecko's fallen a little bit back, but I think he's gonna let them battle, a little bit strategical, but I think Knights is too far away and has too, is it just has no battery at all compared to Owen, and even if he's close, Owen has so much battery then he can't pull away. So it's like a yeah, it's not very easy to manage on Knights because on low battery the car is like standing. You don't feel any more power because after you go down 10% of the battery, it's like you don't use it. And
Hunted. Pits, by the way. Sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no worries. I finished.
Well, for those of you wanting to tune in next week, as well as we're inching in on the closing stages. We are in Qatar next week. Tomorrow we're in Miami for F1 Tier 1. Formula Endurance, we're in Spain on Sunday. Make sure you continue in on the action in RPL. We've got 5 drivers out of this race hunted, looking to go for fastest lap, I'm assuming. Centric still charging for some points again. Trying to stay undefeated with that in RPL. And now with a couple laps remaining, we're about to reach the limit for no more safety cars here soon, as Knights can't seem to find a way past Owen. But I think once Owen uses his battery, which is coming up quite soon, he will start to distance himself over the 2 Ferraris. And I don't think it might be this time, but it might be the next time. Knights is closing, still closing, but not enough. Not enough. And if Knights can get by some way, somehow, it will be a maiden victory here in Tier 2. And just these three cars, dead heat for the race lead. Just 5/10 just a moment ago in the braking zone. It's not over yet. Although Owen has that battery, one slip up could mean the rest of the race goes to these Ferraris. And by the way, just to give you perspective on these two on battery, 30% combined compared to Owen's 65% just a moment ago. That's the difference these two Ferraris have done with themselves. And you know what? I'm going to say something really, really controversial here right now. 11 viewers will listen into this and say you're crazy or agree, but I really think if you put Owen in that Mercedes now in Tier 1, he would contend for race wins or podiums and be back on the podium for the first time in Tier 1 since Season 1. And he is starting to solidify himself, although it would be a 4-time champion this season. He's starting to solidify himself as a Tier 1 driver in the future here. With this switch to PC, it's really paying off, and the two Ferraris edge closer once again to the race lead with just a couple laps to go.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's a material for consistent top 7s, top 6, if not podiums. I don't say wins because Cookie has the
In that
upper
Red Bull, I
hand.
think he could. I think he could in that Red
Yeah,
Bull. I think
in
he
the Red
could.
Bull. Yeah,
Not in
but
the
not
Mercedes, but
yeah,
yes,
not in
I
the
agree.
Mercedes.
I think right now, he's one who's really just outperforming that car. I mean, everyone who comes in this
Yeah.
Mercedes in RPL does the bare minimum of what is expected in the last 6 to 8 months, however long this game has been out and however long we've been racing in RPL Tier 1 and F1 23. The only guys I've seen, to my knowledge, outperform it on a consistent basis have been Owen and TB, the ones this season. And it's really clicked to where these drivers from Mercedes, they can fight at the top. And now we're seeing those two guys outperform this car for the first time in quite a few game cycles, it looks like. I mean, it's really hard to outperform this car unless you're a champion like Scyther, like Reese, and even TB. But now Owen, a Tier 2 champion, is doing even more as Centrix takes Blugogi's place in P10. And now we're on the penultimate lap where Owen is trying to hang on for what's going to be a 16th victory all time. And now I think that battery's starting to be used here to try to distance himself over the two Ferraris behind with just an absolute amazing race here between these three the whole entire time. Wavy gets a penalty. Third one this race.
Yeah, I wanted to say as a driver that the Mercedes is a very good car for me for my driving style, and I think for Owen too. He has quite a similar driving style to me, as I saw some clips. And yeah, since he switched from to PC, he's very good. So it's not a proof that from consoles to PC, it's just another world.
It is.
Yeah, because I don't know if on the new gen you can put a frame limit, but if not, it's on 60 FPS is OP. Since I changed to 60 FPS frame rate limit, I've been faster. 2/10 on almost every track now, only 7/10 consistently behind the world record, apart from exceptions. And yeah, so not that I'm gonna take away from him that he's a good driver, as he is.
Yeah.
because if you see not every PC driver is a good driver, and now we entered the last lap with no battery from Knights and very high battery from Owen as they go through the first chicane, and yeah, I think, as I said before, Owen has the upper hand on the win, and he's gonna turn on the battery now.
Here
Going
come
on
the
his
Jets.
POV.
Centric's
Yeah,
around. Jets are deployed for Owen.
yeah,
Battery being drained all the way down to 43%. Final
he's
time through
flying.
Sector 1. Not too far off that time with tires wearing. I doubt we can see any punctures at this point, but it's to where these tires are definitely wearing at this point. Not puncture territory for the top 3, but definitely ones where you just want to get to the end of the race. It's like a marathon, this track. Always has been. That marathon has been limited with this track change. And with this track change, Owen seems to be performing to expectations. He won here the last time in Season 8 under a different layout in a top car. And this time in a top car, he's just a couple of corners away from victory. Amazing race from him. Amazing race from the others. Continues to deploy the ERS to extend that gap one final time.
Yeah, congrats. I don't want to jinx it, but congrats to Owen. Again, a very good race, and yeah, from the guys behind, great race.
Owens continuing to solidify himself as a worthy driver for Tier 1. Eventually, the two Ferraris swap, but in the meantime, he's going to continue to extend his all-time wins in Tier 2. Owen wins once again. He has absolutely been on it this season. 4 of the first 5 races, he's come out on the top step of the podium. The top 3 put on a hell of a race. 20 seconds out of Alex Baer, P4 finisher. The two Ferraris at the end gave it their all. They swapped between Gecko and Knights. Gecko second, Knights third, and give it to Alex Baer, P4, in his first start for Aston Martin. Hell of a job. Kipu, from the back of the grid, P5. Not the best of showings considering he's in Red Bull, but worthy of some credit. With that being said, still some fights at the finish line. Zatsy, P6 for Williams. An amazing showing. I think that's worthy of Driver of the Day. We'll talk about that in a moment. Valk is next. That strategy did not pay off. Next is Wavy, then J&T. They both do score points. And now it's up to Blue Goggy, the last of our points runners, to hold on here over Centrix. No collisions this time I've seen from Blue Goggy. But if he could just hold on here, that would be amazing. I think he's low on fuel. So there's a chance he might be out here soon. Or at least sputtering. He is sputtering. He's trying to hold on to the Red Bull here. To the line. Blue Goggy will get points. And this time, I don't think the swords will interfere. Nearly a photo finish with Hunted and Invade and Mythic. Our last runner across the line. 15 drivers complete this race of the 20 who showed up. And a safety car free race, but a dogfight between the top 3 at that one.
Yeah, great race. Not chaotic for being Tier 2. As we said, no safety car, and that's pretty much of a surprise considering the track. Yeah, as a driver of today, I would take Zatsy, just masterclass of a performance with that Williams consistently in the top 7, and yeah, just great performance from him.
What a well of a job Owen has been doing since he changed to PC, showing it's the right move. And now he looks at that trophy wondering, why was I not able to do this so often on Xbox? He's developed some racecraft, got a lot of speed, likes this car a lot, and now extends the championship lead once more. We could be seeing a title won as early as round 10 or round 9. Crazy enough to think about it, but there are your podium sitters. 2 Ferraris take up the podium. Owen, with how dominant he has been to start off the season, I'm surprised he's not taken up the whole thing. Well, here's your final results in this race with some penalties as well to some for track limits. Only a couple of drivers, though, were naughty on the track limits, but either way, Owen wins the race for Mercedes. Gecko second, Knights third. The 2 Ferraris did swap at the end. Alex Baer, P4 for Aston Martin. A good showing there as well. I would give him a close driver of the day there as well. Same with Kipu for P5 in the Red Bull. Obviously, was expecting a Red Bull, but you know his back row starting spot out of his doing. Zatsy, Valk, JNT, Wavy, and Blue Goggy round out the points. I mean, some very big shockers here from the back of the grid in the points. And you know, Zats performing the Williams, JNT back in the points,
Yep.
Wavy having a good run. I mean, there's a lot of good storylines from this race tonight
Yeah.
that I would say, predicting this one, you wouldn't have expected them in the points. So
Yep.
lots of good hope for some of these teams meeting some good runs.
Yep. And again, thanks for the opportunity, and
Thank you.
I guess
Thank you.
see you the next time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll enjoy doing so again. I'm glad to have you. You know, it's always good to have those drivers' input. You know, I mean, we had Beatnik last week. We had
Yeah.
J&T for Formula Endurance. You as well. I think that's the thing that, you know, I would say the streams are missing, but that is helpful to someone like myself who doesn't do a lot in this game of
Yeah,
driving wise. I did in the previous games, but it helps.
yeah, because you can have the perspective from a commentator and the perspective from a driver who has experience. So in commentating races, it's very fun.
Well, I just want to mention one thing before we do end off, by the way, about Owen. You know, 16th all-time Tier 2 win. Not only that, but if we continue at this rate with Owen, just something to mention, I doubt we'll get to the biggest championship gap in RPL history for, you know, first to second. Maybe there's a chance right now we're getting close to it, but just take that out of it for a second, right? The most wins in a season in terms of drivers' percentage is with Jack Miles season 1, Owen season 4, both 6 wins that season, 60% of the races they won. Owen this season has won 80% of the races. We're getting close to a record on that aspect of things this season. Just insane. Insane.
Yeah. Since the PC change, it's been insane how fast it is. Yeah.
Florian, one last word from you ahead of Miami tomorrow for Tier 1. You're in Red Bull alongside
hope-
Cookie. What are you expecting?
I hope to entertain you all, and I hope to get the top 5 because I have a little bit of pressure, but I always try to not make it much worthy, like to put it too much weight on it. And yeah, as I said, top 5 podium would be perfect as for me and for my reputation.
Absolutely. We've got action throughout the rest of the weekend. Tomorrow for F1 at Miami, Formula Endurance on Sunday at Spain, and then next week we are in Qatar for round number 6 of the season. We're getting close to the halfway point, but it looks like so far no one can stop Owen, and we find out in the coming weeks, can anybody stop the man from Ireland who's been on top since the start of season 11. Well, that's it from me tonight. Commentator Ryan Searles, Florian as well joining us. Signing off. We'll see you next week for Qatar and later this weekend in RPL if you tune into our streams for F1 and FE. Have a good night, folks.
Bye, everyone.